Hi, this is David Fry coming from the refuge. Um, this is just going to be my message to all those people out there, all Americans, everybody around the world watching. Um, this doesn't work out as planned. Or, not even planned. It just doesn't work out. Um, of course, we're going to probably be taken out and we're going to be killed. So I just wanted to say a last message would be, is that as an American, I've tried my best to set an example. I've tried my best to preserve the United States and the Constitution. And there's a lot of other people out here that gave them, gave you guys their best. Even the man who he gave everything. He lost his life. And so, a lot of Americans need to understand is that a lot of people out there are putting everything into preserving the freedoms that you have, and a lot of people have died preserving those freedoms that you have. And it's a shame that you guys, it's a shame that America hasn't been able to come together yet and realize all these sacrifices and finally take a stand against the common enemy. And of course, it's the people pulling the strings in the back, all the behind the scenes, people, telling the president what to do, all those things, and people can't see that there's the bigger things at stake, and it's a shame that we can't come united to fight that. So, like I said, there's a lot of sacrifices made, and maybe it's not enough blood of the patriot, on that tree of liberty that American people just can't wake up. I'm not sure what's going on, why. But I think, honestly, I think it's because we've lost our divine connection with the higher power and Christ, So whatever comes. So I hope everybody's prepared. I hope everybody can prepare for such a disaster, as prophecy says. And so with that said, to all the people out there that hated, may posterity forget that you were ever our countrymen, and may your chain that lightly upon you. That said, have a good one, everyone.
Good morning. It's good to see each of you here this morning, and we're glad that you're able to be out and be with us here today. Today, we want to discuss an idea that is, I believe, absolutely important in the world that we live in today. And appreciate what Brother Doug asked for in his prayer when he talked about the day that we live in, when people say that good is really evil and evil is really good. We see that round about us, whether we look in society or we look on television or what other media we could find. We see that taking place. And we have to ask ourselves the question, why is that? Is that just because evil is so rampant in our world? Well, sure. But evil has always been here. So why do we see it so pervasive in our culture today? I think one of the reasons why we see that is because good men and women may not be standing up to that evil and calling it evil to its face. And today I want to talk about the dangers of that, of not standing up to evil and calling it evil when we see it as that. When we just shrink into the background and say, yeah, I just don't want to cause any problems. I just don't want to make any waves. I just want to just sit back and just hope everything will be okay. A great philosopher by the name of Edmund Burke said many great and wonderful things. He is probably one of the most quoted. You may not even remember his name or have heard of his name before, but you've heard a lot of the things that he said. He said something very poignant. I have this saying on my classroom wall or on my bulletin board or somewhere in my classroom. I think I've had it there every year I've been teaching. But he says, all that is necessary for the triumph of evil is that good men do nothing. Think about that for a second. If, as good men and women of God, we sit back and we do nothing in the face of evil, what is going to be the natural result? The natural result is that evil will continue. It will never be corrected. Those who are lost, who are living an evil life, will never be converted by the gospel of Jesus Christ. In the endless battle between good and evil, it is seldom the numbers that determine the outcome of each skirmish. Many a time throughout battles in history, there have been numerous times that a small group of soldiers has been outnumbered by the enemy around them. Sometimes the numbers are so great that they surrender and they spend the rest of their time in prisoner of war camps or they're killed on the spot. But sometimes in those instances, there are a few that are surrounded that continue to fight and continue to do everything that they can to get out of that alive. They could very well just lay down their arms and say, I'm not going to do this. But there are some, though, that refuse to surrender, that say to themselves and their fellow soldiers, we're not giving up. We're not stopping. We're going to do everything in our power to do everything we can to get out of this alive. But you know, more often evil wins simply because the good men are not willing to stand up and fight for what they know is right. And when good men refuse to stand up and fight for what is right, bad things are going to happen. When you and I, as Christians in this world, don't stand up and say, and we can do it with the right attitude, we don't call evil evil, then who is? Does the world think when we say that evil is not really evil, are they saying, well, I guess it's okay? Or are we standing up for what we truly believe? First of all, this morning, when good men do nothing, they get nothing done. Now that sounds kind of simple. You say, well, duh, I knew that. But let's think about that for a second. When good men do nothing, nothing gets done. You say, well, I'm the only one doing it. Well, yeah, that's true. You might be. But if you weren't doing it, who else is going to do it? We never said that you're going to be surrounded by all kinds of support when you stand up and say something is wrong. Generally, you are by yourself. Sometimes you have others that are with you, but it helps. To be good, one must do good. To be good, one must do good. How do we know that? In Luke 6:35, he says, and he gives us one of the most difficult things to do. Jesus said, but love ye your enemies, and do good, and lend, hoping for nothing again, and your reward shall be great, and ye shall be the children of the highest. For he is kind unto the unthankful and to the evil. You see, when we do good, we are most like God. When we do good, we are most like Christ, because that's what they do. God sent his son Jesus to an ungrateful world, knowing that they would sin and they would shake their fist in his face and say, I'm not going to serve you. And they would call evil good and good evil. He knew that. But he sent Jesus anyway, so that you and I could be here today, those who are in Christ, and be free from that sin. Do good, expecting nothing in return. The reason we do good unto all men is not so they'll pat us on the back and say, wow, you sure are doing good. That's not why we do good. We do good because God does good, because Jesus does good. That's why we do good, because we're trying to be like them. When we do good, God gets the credit. In Ephesians chapter 2 and verse 10, he says, for we are his workmanship, created in Christ Jesus unto good works. What does that mean? We don't really talk like that anymore. He's saying the reason we were created in Christ Jesus was to do good. That's what he's saying. Our purpose in life is to do good works. Why? Which God hath before ordained that we should walk in them. That's why we're here, is to do good works. Because when we do good works, people see Jesus living in us. Think about Titus chapter 2 and verse 14. And let's measure ourselves against the life of Christ for a second. Paul told Titus, who gave himself, he's speaking of Jesus, the Christ, who gave himself for us that he might redeem us from all iniquity and purify unto himself a peculiar people, what? Zealous for what? For good works. Do you see that? Jesus gave himself for us to redeem us from all iniquity or all sin. Why? So that we would be zealous for good works. We've done away with the sin. We're walking in the light as he is in the light, and we become zealous. We're looking for good works. You think of someone who is a zealot. Are they a passionate person? Of course they are. If they're a zealot, we often might sometimes call them a radical. And what I'm challenging us with today is let's be radical in the way that we go about doing good works. In our attitude toward those good works, let's be looking for them. If good men do nothing, nothing will get done. And so sometimes we have to look for opportunities, ask for opportunities to do good unto all men. Think about the one-talent man for just a minute. You see there you may not see this very well in the picture, but in the parable, the one-talent man took that one talent. Some others got a lot more than he did, but he had one talent given to him by his master. But he took that one talent and he hid it. He buried it because he was afraid of his master. He took that talent and hid it because he was afraid if he lost it, then he was going to be in serious trouble. But the others that received talents, they went out and they made something with that money. They got a return on their investment. They went out and did good with the investment that their master had entrusted to them. So why did he get in so much trouble? Because he did nothing. You say, well, he was afraid. Yes, that's why he did nothing. His fear